Hello guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to integrate C++ and QML. So basically we have two things, right? We have a backend and a front end, right? The front end is QML and the backend is CPP, and we'll be connecting both of these, right? In this video, there are many ways of connecting, but the most famous ways are setting context property and setting register type, and the third is using QML element and loading modules, right? This is the most famous way and the suggested way in Qt6. But in this video, I'll be showing you how to work with context property, right? So why connect CPP and QML file, you may ask. So basically, let's say you have settings, right? For example, let's say I have an application here, right? And there I have settings. Now I want to change the color, the theme preference, and the other preferences, right? So if I said that I want it to remain even after the application is quit and started again, right? I want my preferences to stay there. So that is why what we can do is we can store all of this data in a database in a DB, and after or in the registry, right? There are many ways to do that in the registry or in any file, right? In any file, in any text file. And again, after the application is restarted, we want the settings to be prevalent, right? That's why we want the CPP to store and implement the logic of storing the settings, and QML to implement to show the UI. So in this video, I'll be showing you how to do that. Uh, so basically, we'll be having a backend CPP file, and which will be an object, right, of a class, and we'll be using methods of that class, right? So let's see how to implement that. Let's go back to Qt Creator, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to use set context property. So first of all, right click here and add new C++ class. Go choose. I'll say backend helper. You can call it anything you want, but backend helper seems very sensible, right? Now choose the base class as QObject because we want to use Qt methods and we want QML to like access this backend helper class. Make sure these two are checked. Include QObject, add QObject, right? This is a macro. Now click on next, finish, and save this and wait for it to load. If it doesn't load, go to build and run cmake. And as you can see, a header file is added called backendhelper.h, and a source file is added called backendhelper.cpp. Right, this is a basic class, and here we'll be writing the method definition and implementing it in the CPP file. So let's add our method under public so anyone can access it, and add a macro called invocable. This is important because uh, otherwise KML won't be able to access your methods, right? So this in a way exposes your method to KML. Now let's make a function called void print text. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. Now right click here, refactor, add definition in CPP, and here we'll be implementing the logic. So first of all, add an include file called qdebug, so that we can print something. And here we'll say qinfo backend called. So anytime the QML calls this method, like QML calls this method print text, will be console logging this line backend called. In the application output, will be displaying this line, right? So very simple application. Later we'll be working with something more complex, but for now let's go with it. In the main.cpp file, first of all, include the class we have just created, backend helper, right? Now also include one another class called QQML context. QQML context. Excuse me. Now what we can do is after the engine is set, create an object of backend helper. I'll call it obj. You can call it anything you want. This is our singleton object. All the QML files will be able to access the methods of backend helper with the help of this object. I hope you know what an object is, right? very simple thing in C++. The object is a way, or you can think of it as a variable, which will help access all the methods and the properties, right? Which are public, of course. So anyway, what we can do is engine dot root context. Now this returns a pointer of a QML context. So because it's a pointer, use the arrow function, set context property. Now this accepts two things. The first is the name which you'll be using to call it from QML. The second is the actual object reference. So say ampersand obj, since this is the object reference, and we'll call it C backend helper. You can call it anything you want, but I've added a C because C stands for CPP, right? So in a way, I know that this is exposed from CPP, from backend. So in main.kml, I can do is I can call a button and import Qt quick controls. Excuse me. And in the button, I'll say address.center in parent. So it's in the center. My bad. Address.center in parent. And I'll say text is click me. And on clicked, I'll call C backend helper dot print text. Now, since that is a method, I am adding a parenthesis. Print text is a method we have just created, and we have also added a macro q invocable. So this KML file can actually access that method, and it's also public, right? It's also public, so anyone can access it. So now let's see what happens when we click on that button. This is the output window. Let's see. Let's clear the output window and let's click on the button. And as you can see, backend call is being printed right here in the output window. Let's increase the font size. Yeah. And let's do it one more time. Yeah. As you can see, backend called is being called, right? Funny, backend called being called. Anyway, let's add a more meaningful method which will return a string to the QML file, right? So I'll say QString and get text or something like that, right? Or get date, right? For that, we have to include QDate or QDate time, right? Okay, anyway, right click here, refactor, add definition. Here we'll be implementing the logic, right? We'll return uh, QDate time, current date time. Okay, no variable conversion. Let's see what this function returns actually. Okay, it's returned QDate time. There must be another method to return a string, right? To string. Now it should return properly. Okay, let's see. To string format and few color. Okay, let's see how to get the current data time in string, right? Let's see that. Okay, Q time. There must be something with Q string, right? To string view. Hmm, dot to string. There is a method called dot to string. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it gets the current data time and converts it to string, right? So don't worry about this Q data. We'll be learning all these methods later. These are Q code methods, right? So anyway, just know that we are getting the current data time and converting it to string. And now let's add a text or a label, or let's say text, right? Remove this button and let's say font dot point size 15, anchors dot center in parent, and the text will be getting it from backend. So C backend helper. I hope you remember we added a context property C backend helper, C backend helper dot get text. That was our method. We made it Q invocable and sorry, get date. Yeah, get date. My bad. Now let's run the application once. Clear this. And we are getting the current date, right? We got it from the backend. So this was about Q set context property, which is a way to expose methods from CPP to QML. So anyway, we are integrating CPP and QML, right? Anyway, thank you for watching. See you the next day. Sorry about my